Welcome to the 2021 Whole Cities Community First Grant Q&A. We'll go over our agenda today. So we'll start with quick introductions. We'll give everyone an overview of Whole Cities and talk specifically about the Community First Grant. Then we'll go over the 2021 Community First Grant process, how to submit a nomination, and then tips for finding a local nonprofit partner to nominate if you're not currently engaged with a partner. Next slide, please. Here's your Community First Grant team. If you have any questions or ideas throughout the program, please reach out. I'll begin by introducing myself. I'm Shantae Williams, Senior Communication Manager for Whole Cities and Whole Kids. I've been at the foundation for about a year, and I help to create the messaging for getting the word out to team members about the grant program through our internal channels.
Hey everyone, I'm Nikki Newman-Sabani. I'm a Senior Communications Manager working closely with Shantae for both Whole Cities and Whole Kids. I've been with Whole Foods Market for about 15 years now and am really excited to have joined both foundations about 2 years ago. I will be your primary point for team member engagement. If you ever have any questions along the way, please feel free to email me directly. And I also handle digital communications for both foundations, including the website, social, and email newsletters.
And hi, everyone. This is Diana Purcell. I've been with Whole Foods for 6 years now, and I have the great honor of supporting our community partners throughout the U.S. and Canada through the Community First Grant and through our place-based work in my role as the Senior Grant Programs Manager.
Next slide, please. So let's get started with an overview about Whole Cities Foundation. Whole Cities' mission is to expand access to fresh, healthy food and nutrition education. We help build individual and community health through partnerships with community-led organizations, and the Community First Grant is a major way we accomplish this goal. Next slide, please. Guided by our Community First principles, our approach to working with the community is different than most organizations working in public health. Our approach includes supporting locally led, locally supported, and often overlooked organizations that are leading homegrown solutions, working with local organizations to craft our grants program and get the word out about opportunities, having community members review applications and nominations, offering responsive support shaped by community members, evolving realities and goals, shifting power dynamics both between philanthropy and communities and within communities themselves. While our work was inspired by the opening of the Whole Foods Market Detroit store, Whole Cities is a nonprofit foundation. It is not a grocery store. Whole Foods Market provides healthy food to shoppers, while Whole Cities supports nonprofit organizations in surrounding communities that are helping to expand healthy food access. Next slide, please. When we use the term food access, we're talking about increasing fresh, healthy food options. That means fruits and vegetables that are affordable, high quality, familiar, and close by. Community members have a safe, accessible way to reach them. Access is for the long term. For example, gardens, which produces for years and not just one meal. Community members have a say in the sources of these fruits and vegetables. An example is by running an urban garden, directing their dollars to mobile markets, or investing their time in a community garden. Next slide, please. Both food access and food redistribution are important. Whole Cities focuses on food access. Food donations see more people experiencing hunger today. We support community members who are expanding their own healthy food access for the long term. Think a donated bag of produce versus a garden that produces for years. This often means growing more food locally to increase the availability of high quality, affordable produce, employing more neighbors, and keeping more dollars in the local economy. But solutions can take many forms when they are informed by the barriers and based on the goals of the community. Next slide, please. So what type of long-term food access solutions do we support? Our partners lead many different types of projects, but the most common are community gardens, urban farms, agricultural skill development programs, farm stands, farmers markets, pop-up markets, mobile markets, a lot of markets, nutrition education, and healthy cooking classes. Next slide, please. To date, Whole Cities has supported 195 nonprofits across 113 cities in the U.S. and Canada, contributing more than $2.6 million to local communities. Now, I will pass it over to Nikki, who will talk more specifically about the Community First Grant.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shantae. Hey, everyone. This is Nikki, and I'm super excited to share about the Community First Grant with you. So initially, when Whole Cities was supporting organizations, we started in 5 place-based cities where Whole Foods Market was opening stores in communities with barriers to fresh food access. We were looking for a way to expand our support to more cities while maintaining our focus on locally led organizations and grassroots solutions, which we know are often the strongest. We realize that team members are active community participants and often know which organizations are leading impactful work to overcome healthy food access barriers specific to their city. So if we ask team members to let us know who is leading great work in their community, our world got much bigger. And so the Community First Grant was created. The goals of the Community First Grant are to expand Whole Cities' support of access to fresh, healthy food and nutrition education, while also supporting team members' passion for service. Since 2016, over 140 team members have nominated nonprofit partners through the Community First Grant, investing $1.3 million to 135 organizations. So here you will see a breakdown for each region per year for Community First participation. For 2021, we are challenging regions to nominate 10 qualified partners. So let's chat through some of the team member eligibility and what it looks like to participate in the Community First Grant program. So as far as eligibility, we ask that team members are in good standing, that team members get their STL to submit an STL support form by May 28th. If you're in an office or if you're in a facility, having your either team leader in an office or your facility team leader complete the form. Volunteering with your nonprofit community partner must be done on personal time, so no compensation will be provided from Whole Foods Market or Whole Cities Foundation. And you must be willing to submit a short, mid-year, and end-of-year update, including a brief summary of how things are going and any photos of your partnership in action. As far as participation in the Community First Grant program, it's really determined by each team member and partner to meet their goals for the grant year. So we have a few suggestions for participation that helps to make a strong partnership, such as team members volunteering with their community partner. So volunteering can take a variety of forms, such as a team member or group of team members going to volunteer with a partner on site, or inviting your partner into the store to collaborate with other team members. For example, in these photos you'll see, the top photo is Lauren and Crystal from the Altamonte Spring store in Florida, who invited their partner, the Fresh Stop Bus, to meet with their produce team to learn about crisping leafy greens and reducing spoilage for their mobile market. The photo below, you'll see global team members volunteering in Austin at the YMCA, and they helped build some of their raised garden beds. So we really want to make the Community First Grant program collaborative. So the Whole Cities team will invite Community First Grant team members to occasional webinars, calls, and we'll send out email updates, really designed to share best practices, support all of your partnerships, and to keep Community First Grant team members in the loop on any upcoming deadlines and opportunities. Of course, with any calls or webinars, we will record those so that a team member who is unable to attend or join live will be able to still access them. And lastly, a great way to support the Community First Grant program is to help spread the word to your fellow team members. It's really great to have your STL support so that you can share information about your partnership and any volunteering opportunities with other team members. So for example, that might be posting a sign-up sheet for a volunteer day in the back of house, speaking at huddles or store meetings once those are safe and happening back in store. Of course, with COVID, we want to make sure that volunteering happens and is done safely. So as always, check in with your partner and store leadership to make sure everyone's comfortable when it comes to volunteering. So let's talk a little bit about the process for how the Community First Grant works. So first, interested team members will be asked to complete a quick training before submitting their nomination. After the training, they need to get their FTL, team leader FTL approval, and a team member then can nominate an organization doing work in food access or nutrition education. Then a group of team member reviewers will review the nominations and recommend which organizations Whole Cities should extend an invitation to complete a grant application. Once invited organizations submit their grant application, Whole Cities reviews their submissions and selects the Community First grant partners. Grants for this year are $8,000 US dollars or 10,000 Canadian dollars. And really the magic of this program is team member involvement. Throughout the year, team members, as I mentioned, will volunteer with their recommended community partner in ways that meets the goals of the organization and the capacity of the team members. So as I mentioned earlier, it could be regular volunteer days or hosting something at the store. So for the timeline for the 2021 Community First Grant, team member nominations will open on April 26th, and you'll have until May 28th to complete those nominations. In July, all eligible community partners will be invited to apply. In August, the community partner grant applications will be due, and in mid-October, we will hopefully announce the 2021 Community First partners. So just to go over a little bit about what we fund and what we don't fund. So we fund projects, as Shantae mentioned earlier, that expand access to fresh, healthy food or nutrition education. Partners must be a 501c3 nonprofit, or they must be partnered with a 501c3 nonprofit. We support locally led organizations with strong community engagement, and we always love when partners request and use feedback from their community in the work that they're doing. And we also focus on programs serving adults or older youth ages 16 through 22. So to go over a little bit about what we don't fund food donation or food redistribution programs. So those examples would be food banks or food pantries. We do not fund individuals. We do not fund fitness or art programs. And we try to focus on the serving adults or older youth as mentioned. So programs primarily focused on children are based in schools. As many of you hopefully are aware of our sister foundation, Whole Kids, which offers a variety of grant programs, which we have our garden grant application for Whole Kids is currently open through March 31st, if that is applicable to any organizations that team members are aware of right now. So with that, I will pass it over to Diana to talk about tips for finding a nonprofit community partner.
Thanks so much, Nikki. So for some team members who nominate a partner, they've been volunteering with them for years. For others, we know that the Community First Grant is an opportunity to learn about organizations in their area that they're excited to support. So if you don't have a partner in mind yet, no worries, we have some tips. The first is to tap into your network. Ask fellow team members in your store or office if y'all have supported local organizations in your area through the Community First Grant or other events or sponsorships before. You can also tap into your larger network of friends and family and those on your social channel to see if other folks you know or other organizations you know also know organizations that might be a good fit for this program. Another way is to do a Google search. These can actually be very fruitful. So find organizations in your area by searching your city name, plus urban agriculture, community gardens, mobile markets, healthy cooking classes, food access, and more. Focus on organizations that align with Whole Cities' mission of long-term healthy food access. So as Nikki mentioned, food pantries and food banks usually will be the best fit for this grant. And look for organizations that are close enough that you could regularly visit and other team members in your store might be able to visit as well. Next slide, please. When you find an organization that you're interested in, give them a call or send them an email to introduce yourself, learn more about their work, and let them know about Whole Cities and the Community First Grant. Let them know you'd like to nominate them for a Community First Grant and ask if they're interested. Explain why you're interested in supporting, why fresh healthy food access is important to you. Share links to the Whole Cities website and Community First Grant page and let them know there's a sample application that they can see on the site to make sure that this grant is a good fit for their work. Importantly, ask what the nonprofit's goals are for the year and if they'd be interested in having you and possibly other team members volunteer, and if so, what that would look like. What do they need volunteers to do? How often do they need help? And what kind of commitment do they expect? So with some organizations, you can sign up to volunteer one session at a time, while others prefer longer commitments. Some nonprofits may want to set up a special volunteer opportunity for your team, while Others, it might work better for them for you to join existing volunteer days. And as Nikki mentioned, the volunteering doesn't have to be limited to on their site. Some of our team members have done virtual volunteering, or as Nikki mentioned, had their partner come into the store. So be curious, ask questions, and look for the ways that connect you and your team members in the best possible way for your partner. Lastly, if they're interested in being nominated, please be sure to keep the organization and your team lead in the loop as you move through the nomination process, and be sure to keep in mind that Nikki, Shantae, and I are always here for any questions that might pop up, so please don't hesitate to reach out. Next slide, please. So now we'll open it up for questions, which you can place in the chat. If you're a team member who's participated in the Community First Grant before and like to share any tips you have for team members who are thinking of joining for the first time, please go ahead and put those in the chat or raise your hand and we'll unmute you. And if we can't get to all the questions today, we'll follow up with you individually.
Great. Looks like we have a couple questions coming in now. So one is, does the $8,000 grant have to be used towards the project that the team member is engaged in, or can it be used for general support of the organization?
That's a great question. So it does not have to be linked directly to the project that you and other team members are working on. We opened it up to support, there's no cap on how much can be used for overhead as well. We used to have a limit on that, but we heard and responded to our partners who were saying, you know, our staff are critical in making sure that our programs run. So we want to make sure that we're able to keep the lights on and fund the rent and pay our staff. So our funding does not have a cap on overhead, which we're very proud of. And I think that answers the question.
Yep,
I also see the second question there. Are there any geographic restrictions on or priority areas aside from that they must be a Whole Foods store, that there must be a Whole Foods store? I would say it's the only restriction is that you and other team members would be able to get to the partner's location if y'all are going to be volunteering on their site, or that they would be able to get to you if they're going to come to the store. So just, I would say 30 miles or closer is the best.
Great. It looks like we do have a question about how can you see organizations, this question is specifically for Canada, or any partners that we've supported through this program. So we have a list of partners on our website. So if you go to wholecityfoundation.org, go under the grants drop down and go to Community First Grant Program. On that page, you'll see each year broken out by partners. So if you click on a year, you'll be able to find a partner within that within your region and the partners and team members that have participated. For Canada, I'll put the link for the year within the chat for Canada in particular, because we rolled that out in 2019. So feel free to, it's a great idea to go and look for your region and see what organizations have been nominated in the past and received grants, just to give you, especially if you're looking for a partner, to give you kind of an idea of what organizations are in your area.
And as Nikki mentioned, we had opened up the grant to Canadian team members in 2019, and so far we've funded one. We would love to have more Canadians, team members nominating organizations in your area, so love to see that question.
Great, so looks like we have another one. So is there a limit to one organizational grant per store?
There is not, and I know that we actually have a team member on the call right now. I saw Mary Ann's name pop up earlier. She works at the Brooklyn 3rd and 3rd store, and their store has had multiple grant partners each year for I think the past 3 years, maybe even 4. What we ask, if you're going to nominate more than one organization, is that you can sustain those relationships and foster them throughout the year. So there's no limit on that. It's just really about what is your team members and your store's bandwidth to really make sure that those partnerships are as strong as possible throughout the year.
Thanks, Diana. It looks like we've got someone on the call that is a potential grant interested organization in Chicago, but they don't know anyone in maybe a Whole Foods Market store. So what's the best way, and this is great advice for team members as well, for kind of team members and organizations to get maybe partnered up?
Yep, so I see Susan's question, and Susan, we always say to make that connection at the store. So I would look in your area, what's the closest Whole Foods to you, and give them a ring, maybe during these times when everybody's socially distancing, and just introduce yourself and see if the store would be interested. Because this is so team member driven, we want to make sure that the grant and the whole program is a good fit for everybody involved. So that takes into account team members' bandwidth and interest as well. But I would definitely introduce yourself.
Great. Looks like we have one more question. How many grants do we expect to make, or how many grants do we give out on average?
So we have expanded over the years. I think our first year was 32. In 2019, we had 60. It depends on the year and the size of the grant. In 2020, we increased the grant size, and so we decreased the number of organizations that we were able to fund. So in 2020, we gave 40. In 2021, we're going to keep that increased grant size of $8,000 US, 10,000 Canadian, and we're hoping to give 50 grants.
Great. So it looks like one more question on, so can team members partner with more than one organization? And that answer is yes. So as long as the team member, it meets the team member's bandwidth for being able to support multiple community partners. We've got, as Diana mentioned, Marianne on the call, who's nominated multiple partners during the year. So yes, you can nominate more than one partner as a team member.
And I think another question that we often get there that's maybe a little related is, can a organization be nominated more than 1 year? And the answer there is yes as well.
Great, one more question. Is the grant for 1 year or 2 years?
Great question, the grant is for 1 year.
And we got another question, which is a great segue into, I was going to cover a little bit about what assets and resources are available to help spread the word about this. So we have one question is this information going to be available for team members on interview? Yes, we should have the dates that the nominations will open and close will be under the events on interviews. So those will be little reminders there. We will also work with TMS to have an article written about Community First grants and how team members can get involved. We also have a really great blog post that will be coming out over the next couple weeks that spotlight Marianne and Gina, who have been part of the Community First Grant program over the years, and what that kind of evolution and support looks like. So that'll be a great blog article to read. And then we also have a one-pager poster. It's an 8.5 by 11. I just uploaded it to the 2021 page on the website. And you can download that to print and hang by time clocks, put it on in a break room, put it in a logbook. That would really help to spread the word. It will have when the application needs to be due and a little bit more information about Community First. We also have great videos on the website. We've got audio stories that you can listen to learn a little bit more. If there's ever a resource that you need support with creating, or if you're like, hey, it would be great if, please reach out. You can email me directly, Nikki, nikki.newman, N-E-W-M-A-N, @wholefoods.com. For example, somebody suggested this presentation being put on the website. Yes, absolutely. So anything and everything you think of, we're here to support along the way. Yes, so we just got a question. Will the poster be shared via Daily Note? Yes, it will. We will put it as a to-do, probably assigned to STLs and ASTLs at the store level, probably a week before the nomination period opens. If you have feedback that it should be added to the Daily Note sooner, or that we should put it up before the nomination starts, we are open to that feedback as well. Since the Daily Note is new, we are new to using that, so open to any suggestions for how stores are using the Daily Note. All right, we do have one more question. On average, how many applications do we receive, and what's the acceptance percentage rate?
Good question. It really is different every year. we really try to do is make sure that the team member nominations are not only a way for team members to let us know that they're interested in about a partner, but to make sure that we're not inviting any organizations that we wouldn't be a good fit for. So our goal is to have every team member nominating a qualified organization. I can tell you for 2019 was the last year that we had team member nominations. We had 80 team members nominate and we awarded 60 grants.
All right, one more question we've got is, what if a team member wants to partner with a group, but they're unable to volunteer time? For example, if they find a partner, but don't currently have a lot of free time outside of work.
I would say that that's a great partner to let other team members know in your store about, or your office or facility. We know that everybody is super busy and we respect that, but we do want to make sure that whoever the point person is for that partner has time to foster that relationship, not only in volunteering, but making sure that you're letting them know about any updates that about your nomination, let's say, or about other team members that might be interested. So I would say that it's amazing that you've identified a great organization, and I would let folks know about it.
Great. It looks like we have a couple minutes left. If there are any more questions, feel free to use the Q&A or chat or raise your hand. But these are some awesome questions today. I will put the link to the 2021 page in the chat once again, just so everyone has it. And looks like we have one more question. How many hours do we recommend team members from a store volunteer with a partner?
It really is up to the team member and the partner about what fits the partner's goals. What we've seen is completely across the board. So some team members, I would say, are volunteering 2 hours once a quarter in a team build, let's say, that they're going out with their partner. Not including all of the kind of communication and coordination that goes into making those volunteer days happen. Some are team members that have been involved with a partner for years, and they are going to that community garden weekly or doing monthly demos on their mobile market. So it really just depends. And it really just depends on both the team member's capacity, but also what makes the most sense for that partner.
Fantastic. Well, with that, we are right on 30 minutes. So we just really want to appreciate everyone's time today for taking the time to learn more about Whole Cities and the Community First Grant. As always, we are here to support you in any way that we can. So always feel free to reach out, and good luck in your nominations, and thanks for your time.